You are watching Xirtus.
Fundamentally a perfect movie in just so many ways. But anyway, like the point is, at some point there's a scene which I remember as a kid thinking, this is almost gibberish. I was like 6 to 10, I forget, like, but I remember seeing this one scene where they're talking about technology, and just thinking like, this is not
It's just
correct.
jargon.
It's like they're saying like the Pentium 6 or something like that, and referring to like Risk architecture being super powerful. And I was just like, Risk architecture, that's like what's inside of your watch. Now let's skip to like today. Like Risk is now the most powerful
Now it's in your
architecture.
Apple Air, what is
every
called AirPod
Everything is Risk and
laptop.
is reduced instruction set computers. Everything that they say in that scene, that pseudo jargon scene, is literally contemporaneously true today. And people used to think it was like complete gibberish and jargon. And so I think that's kind of like one of
Like
the
Finnegan's
interesting.
Wake does.
It's
They
like
just
they knew
got
exactly
bubble.
what was going to happen, but they
Made
were
it so.
20 years ahead of the time. And so people were like, there's no way. It has to be right now. It's like it has to be the IBM Power PC processor. And they're like, no, it's going to be servers connected to RISC chips that are able to do exactly what they need to do in order to interact with servers that only have to do exactly what they need to do to reduce the load in TCP packets. And they're like, well, how do you know that?
I bet those producers and directors were hanging out with Terrence McKenna and people like that. I feel like that was the scene.
Yeah, like I mean that's the thing. If you're making a movie, you get to meet anybody who's gonna like because they're like you're in Hollywood. They're so interested to talk to you, so they're just telling them all about their technology probably, and they're like, "Don't worry, I won't put anything to." Oh, it doesn't matter. We're talking about stuff that's 20 years ahead of the time, and you won't be able to understand the exact lingo. Like, so they know exactly, I think, what's going on, and you'll notice this. I've seen so many movies where you're like, how do they know just everything
So
about
predictive.
the subcultures? But the movie still sucks because they still edit it and they still make it into a thing that's not really for any of those groups. A lot of the time they're making it for the broader audience, and the broader audience doesn't care about, especially 1995. The audience didn't care about computers. The audience cared about roller skating, explosions, right, and like electric bikes and Tron looking things, and like the things they knew were selling, right? That's why
Game
they did
Boys were
that.
big. Video games were a thing. So the internet was like the new video game, and they were kind of
Yeah.
looking like, "Do you want to be Bart Simpson on the internet? Rock it out. This is how you do it, or
So
whatever."
that actually is like a major point to the hackers scene video game. There's a scene in the in the game where they go to like a roller rink place, and in there they have a giant projector, and the projector is shown to play this game, and the game that they're playing actually came out like 4 years later, and it's Hydro Thunder for Sega Dreamcast. And
Okay.
so this was a prototypical game that they were thinking eventually people were going to sell, but it was also too powerful to run on local MAME, so it had to be something that eventually was going to be made into like something that was,
Home device.
yeah, or a more powerful system like a few years later.
Yeah.
But it's also inferred in the game kind of that.
Is that a
or-
black cube above them?
Yeah, and he's standing. I wish I could get better scenes of them just like standing because
It's all good. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm like, there's a whole lot of. I mean, it's the whole. What's that video game that's 2049 thing that's out now? Is it 2049? It's like cyberpunk. I haven't played it. But
Cyberpunk 2049, yeah,
yeah.
something like that. 2079,
I
2049,
2077.
2077. Okay,
It's like 49 seems too soon.
no, 49 is for the other movie. That's Blade Runner 49.
There you go. Or it's Kurzweil's
Yeah.
wet dream, like popping off then. Speaking of which,
In the video game, though, eventually, like we realize that they're so good at playing the game that means they're good hackers. And so, what they're trying to say with that is like, okay, it's really like these kids' generation. Like the fact that they're newer and that they're born in the technology.
digital.
Yeah, they're like digital kids, and so they're I think that's lost on some people because they think, oh, well, like why would a hacker be good at a video game? Like, what does a video game have to do with hacking or something like that? But probably in like the 80s to the 90s, like a shift happened where your brain is developing for computers more, and if you're raised in it, like you think differently and are more responsive. Because
Technologic.
before that, you were worried if you like cut something in real life that it would be done, right?
I mean,
But
like tape
digital
loops and stuff.
yeah, well, digital people all of a sudden Yeah, tape loops.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
really affected a lot of people's psychology. You know, in general, if you cut something, it's broken. But if then else undo button everything for the rest of your whole beginning of life, it changes how you think about consequences. So you have new, quicker responses, willing to make mistakes in ways that someone's a little bit like they've got a built-in trigger not to make that without thinking about it.
That's
There's a
probably a great
hole
point
in the
because I
bucket.
was always wondering how, especially, yeah, just like you said, people of a different generation or quote unquote older generation, they get set in front of any type of interface software. It can be a simple app or whatever, and they're just confused. They don't know what's going on. And also, usually, they're afraid to press any button, just like you said. And I remember, way back when I was like learning something, maybe even, way back when I didn't even understand the English language for the menu screen, you just click everything and eventually you figure out what it does. Yeah. But that's definitely a different approach than if you were only used to deal with real life consequences where, you may accidentally kill your cow or something where, you wouldn't play around with that. Right.
Yeah.
So
Or like you're cutting film for sure. Like it's like artists especially like if you're creative a lot, like a creative person has to be very careful with the pair of scissors, I feel like. And so if you're spending your whole life as that kind of a creative person, you're measuring, you're doing drafting or rulers and things like that to go to these are the kinds of people that become computer engineers. So it's just a really different experience to be able to make mistakes. If you're that kind of person, you're even less likely, right? Dude, that
What was
guy
that?
though.
I thought I just heard a drum loop.
That's that's a text message probably or a notification.
All right. It sounded like I was gonna say, like I was gonna hear wedding bells in that '80s song.
Darth Call is now in the in some sort of a he's doing a thing. This is Darth Call's great. You should know. Pseudo-Dionysius, the Areopagite. Yeah, Areopagite. Do you right?
Areopagite. You got it.
Yeah. Pseudo-Dionysius, the Areopagite. Super cool dude. Had this really cool jacket, like you were looking at earlier, that you thought was super fly. Several people noticed it. Clearly, like it became kind of a fashion statement.
It's a QR code,
dude. It's pretty based, right? Yeah, I felt like it was hard not to notice that.
I like his the aesthetic of his face and hair. I mean, the clothes is fine. That's so loud and ratchet and just like atypical for the genre. But up top is very. That could be a font or something. It's so together. Shit. I was gonna say something earlier, but you were both riffing, and I forgot what it is now. I guess. Oh, well, you were talking about the digital to analog kind of switch, where I just saw in my memories or whatever, maybe a couple years ago, a meme. I forget what the quote I put was, but it was basically like, when your grandparents figure out how to use the HDMI cord or something like that, you're like, it's from Jurassic Park. It's like, God damn it, you did it, you genius, or whatever the scene is from the movie. And it's so scary because it's almost how would I put it? It's almost techno oligarchianism or something like that, where it's like we just don't see certain people at the certain speeds. They're human beings in the image of God. Like they begat us. We're only here because of them, and it's a lot like actually Children of Man, if you've seen that movie, where the kid is just sitting there ripping on some like 8D Tetris thing and not even a part of the conversation. It's just it's so weird what technology is doing to us, and yet it's unavoidable.